I've heard people say that when your heart breaks, you feel it in your chest. But for me, it didn't happen that way. When I learned the truth, that the woman I trusted with every part of my life, every part of my future, had betrayed me, the pain didn't hit my chest. It hit somewhere deeper, somewhere colder, somewhere I didn't know existed. This is the story of how I found out she cheated, and how everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and myself came crashing down in a single, unforgettable moment. People always ask where things went wrong. But I don't think love works like that. You don't step into a relationship expecting to track its cracks like fault lines in the earth. Love ends quietly, then loudly, softly, then violently, slowly, then all at once. When I think back, I still don't know how long she'd been lying to me. But I do know the exact moment I stopped being blind. Her name was Emily. We'd been together for almost 4 years. A stretch of time long enough for me to memorize the little things, the way she snorted when she laughed too hard, how she twisted her hair when she was anxious, how her fingers always found mine in crowded places. She was the kind of woman who glowed without trying. Warm. Disarming. Everyone loved her within 5 minutes, and God, did I love her. When I proposed, it felt like breathing, natural. Certain. I didn't doubt a thing. She said yes. She cried. I cried. We started planning a life together, slowly, intentionally. We were supposed to get married next spring, but life has a dark sense of humor. 6 months before the wedding, Emily got a new position at work. It meant later hours, more conferences, more travel. I didn't think anything of it at first. I wanted her to succeed. I wanted her to feel proud of herself. But one Thursday night in September, she came home late, much later than usual. I heard her key in the lock around 11:40 p.m. I was on the couch, half asleep, pissed that I couldn't reach her all evening. As soon as the door opened, I knew something was off. Her smile was too forced. Her cheeks were too flushed. Her eyes didn't meet mine for more than half a second. "Hey," she said too brightly. "You're awake?" "Yeah. I texted you." "I know, I'm sorry. Today was crazy." She put her bag down too quickly. Her hands trembled as she removed her jacket. "Okay," I said slowly. "Crazy how?" She froze for a moment, barely a second, but long enough for me to feel something twist inside me. "Oh, this new project is a mess," she said. "We're trying to close a deal before Monday." I lost track of time. It was believable, reasonable, completely ordinary, except for one thing. She didn't smell like the office. She smelled like someone else's cologne, not mine, not hers, something harsher, unfamiliar. I tried to tell myself I imagined it, that she'd just brushed past someone, that I was being irrational. God, how I wish I had trusted my instincts that night. Instead, I kissed her forehead, held her close, let her shower, and we fell asleep together. I tried to forget the cologne. I really did. The second red flag wasn't subtle. It wasn't hidden. It wasn't small. It came crashing into my life like an avalanche. 3 weeks after the late-night incident, I got a phone call while I was at work. A number I didn't recognize. I picked up anyway. "Hello?" There was a pause, breathing, uneven. Shaky. Is this Michael?" A man's voice asked. "Yes." "Who's this?" Another pause. "My name is Brandon. I'm Emily's coworker." My heart froze. "Okay," I said cautiously. "Is everything all right?" "No," he said quietly. "It's not." His voice cracked. I stood up, blood pounding in my ears. "What's going on?" Another deep breath. Then, I thought you should know. I think your fiancé is having an affair. Everything inside me stopped. Time. Sound. Breath. What did you say? I whispered, I'm sorry, he repeated. But I've seen things. Things I can't unsee. The room spun slowly around me. My hand tightened around my phone so hard it hurt. What things? I forced out. He hesitated. They're close. Too close. Way too close. She goes into his office for hours. They leave work together. They whisper. They laugh. She looks at him like the way someone looks at the person they love. No, I breathed. No, she wouldn't. I'm sorry, he said again, and this time he sounded genuinely devastated. I know you don't know me. I know this is insane. But you deserve to know. I sat down slowly. Who is he? His name is Daniel. He's one of the senior managers. A senior manager, a charming, confident, career-driven man, just like Emily had always admired. How long has this been happening? I asked. Months, he said softly. Maybe longer. I felt something deep inside me collapse. A tower of trust that had taken years to build crumbled in seconds. Why are you telling me? I asked, voice barely audible. He exhaled shakily. Because I went through the same thing last year. My girlfriend cheated on me with a coworker. Nobody told me. Everyone knew but me. I promised myself I wouldn't let anyone else go through that. My throat tightened so hard it hurt. I'm sorry, he said again. I couldn't stay silent. He hung up before I could say anything else. I sat there, alone in my office, staring at nothing. Grief didn't hit me. Anger didn't hit me. Numbness did. Cold, heavy numbness. I didn't confront Emily right away. I needed proof. I needed time. I needed to breathe. I told myself maybe he was mistaken. Maybe he misinterpreted things. Maybe this was all one horrible misunderstanding. But deep down, I already knew. I just wasn't ready to accept it. That night, Emily texted me. Working late again, disappointed face, don't wait up. My stomach dropped. She had never used that sad face emoji in her life. It didn't sound like her. It sounded rehearsed. Cold dread spread through my chest. I responded, okay. Be safe. Love you. She didn't reply. Hours passed. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sit still. Every minute felt like a slap. Finally, at 12:17 a.m., she walked in the door. She didn't see me sitting on the couch in the dark. I watched her quietly as she closed the door behind her, leaning against it as if she'd run a marathon. She closed her eyes and, God, I wish I could erase this image from my mind. She smiled. Not a tired smile. Not a relieved smile. A satisfied smile. The smile of someone who had just left a place, or a person, they shouldn't have been with. She opened her eyes, saw me, and jumped. Oh. Michael, you scared me, she said too quickly, clutching her chest. Where were you? The question came out calm. Too calm. I told you, she said, forcing a casual tone. Work. I stood. Emily, I said quietly. Look me in the eyes and tell me the truth. She froze, just like that night weeks ago, a fraction of a second, too long, too telling, too honest. Her eyes filled with panic. What do you mean? She asked. The lie was already in her voice. Who is he? I asked. The color drained from her face. What? Who is he? Her breathing sped up. Her hands trembled. I don't. I don't know what you're talking about. Then her voice cracked, and I absolutely knew, Emily broke. She sat down on the edge of the couch, face in her hands, sobbing. I'm sorry, she choked out. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It felt like being stabbed with a dull knife. Slow, ugly, violent. How long? I asked. She shook her head. How long, Emily? She whispered so quietly I almost didn't hear. 8 months. 8 months. 8 months of lies. 8 months of secrets. 8 months of me sleeping beside someone who wasn't mine anymore. I felt everything inside me collapse. Do you love him? I asked. She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. No, she said instantly. No, I don't. I swear to God. But you slept with him. Yes, she sobbed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Why? I asked. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out, just broken breaths, shaking shoulders, regret that came way too late. I don't know, she whispered at last. I was lonely. I was stressed. I felt like I wasn't enough for you anymore. That's bullshit, I snapped. She closed her eyes, flinching. You had me, I said. You always had me. You could have talked to me. You could have told me anything. I know, she sobbed. I know, but knowing didn't undo anything. Her tears didn't heal anything. Her apologies didn't erase the images flooding my mind. 8 months, 8 whole months. I walked away from her. She reached for me. I pulled back. For the first time in our entire relationship, she couldn't touch me, and it shattered her. 6. The night everything finally broke, Emily begged to talk. Begged to explain, begged for another chance. But all I could do was shake my head. I don't trust you, I said softly. She broke down again, and it was horrible to watch. But not horrible enough to make me stay. Cheaters cry when they lose what they took for granted, not because they're sorry, but because reality finally catches up to them. I slept on the couch. She sat on the bedroom floor all night crying. At 3 a.m., I heard her whisper through the door, I ruined the best thing that ever happened to me. She didn't know I was still awake. She didn't know I heard, and hearing it shattered me in ways I didn't think were possible. I didn't return home right away after leaving Emma's parents' house. Instead, I parked at the far end of a strip mall lot facing an abandoned supermarket. The windows were covered with sun-bleached posters of products that hadn't been sold in a decade. It was quiet there, the kind of quiet that makes your own heartbeat feel too loud. I sat in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. I wasn't angry. Not the explosive kind of angry people expect from stories like this. What I felt was closer to a sinking paralysis, like I had stepped into cold water that kept rising, inch by inch, stealing the air from my lungs. Emma cheated on me, the thought looped in my head. But it didn't stick. My mind kept slipping off it, refusing to accept that the woman I trusted, the woman whose toothbrush sat next to mine, whose socks always got stuck in my laundry, whose laugh echoed in my memory like a favorite song, had done something so irreversible. I hadn't even processed the details yet. I knew only pieces. She cheated. It lasted months. She didn't end it until her guilt suffocated her. It was like someone handed me a puzzle but kept half the pieces hidden. And yet, as I sat there in my car staring at the cracked asphalt, the worst part was how quickly my mind betrayed me, how it immediately tried to find excuses for her. She was lonely. She made a mistake. She told you because she felt guilty. But then, almost as quickly, another voice pushed back. She could have told you the first time. She didn't. She waited until she was caught in her own guilt. And then the hardest thought of all, she let you love her every day while lying to you every night. I didn't remember driving home, but suddenly I was standing at the foot of our stairs, the house dark and silent. Emma wasn't back yet. Probably still at her parents' place, sobbing into her mother's lap, rehearsing apologies, hoping she could find the right combination of words to keep me from leaving. I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. Forgive, leave, disappear, none of it felt real enough for decisions. Inside, the house smelled like her lavender candles and warm laundry. It was unbearable. I kicked off my shoes, walked into the living room, and collapsed onto the couch, staring at the ceiling. A part of me still expected her to walk in like nothing happened, drop her purse on the table, and give me that soft smile that always made everything else fade. But that world was gone now. I must have dozed off because the next thing I heard was the lock turning. The door opened slowly. Emma stepped inside, her eyes puffy, her lips trembling. "Ryan." She whispered, as if saying my name too loudly would shatter the air between us. I didn't answer. I didn't sit up. I just stared at the blank TV screen, my own reflection barely visible. She approached slowly, like someone trying not to spook a wounded animal. Can I sit?" "Do whatever you want," I muttered. She sat at the far corner of the couch, twisting her hands in her lap. "I know there's nothing I can say to make this okay," she said quietly. "But I want to tell you everything. Not to excuse it. Just so you know the truth." Truth. The word felt foreign coming from her. I didn't look at her, but I didn't stop her. "His name was Mark," she began. "We met at that conference in Portland, the one my company sent me to back in March." I remembered that trip. 3 days. She came back with a tote bag full of pamphlets and a suitcase that smelled faintly of hotel detergent. "He was just friendly at first," she continued. "We were assigned to the same workshop group. We talked during breaks. I didn't think anything of it. I swear I didn't." "Then why did you sleep with him?" My voice sounded flat, like it wasn't mine. She flinched. Because I was stupid. Because I felt lonely. Because I thought you were pulling away from me." I finally looked at her. "Pulling away?" "Emma, I was working overtime to save for the house we were planning to buy." "I know," she whispered, wiping her eyes. "But you were tired. You were distracted. And I took it personally." "So you cheated because I was tired?" "No. I cheated because I was selfish and insecure and," her voice cracked, "and because he flirted with me and made me feel seen at a moment when I felt invisible." I laughed, a hollow, humorless sound. "Invisible? I made you breakfast every Sunday. I left notes in your lunchbox. I drove an hour out of my way to get your favorite pastries whenever you were having a bad week." She sobbed. I know, Ryan. That's why I hate myself. I had everything, and I threw it away." I leaned back, closing my eyes. "How long?" 3 months. 3 months, my chest tightened. I felt something inside me twist, something deep and essential, as if my ribs were folding inward. Was it just sex? I asked. I didn't even know why. The answer didn't matter. No. Yes. I mean, it wasn't a relationship, but we talked. Texted. She swallowed hard. I ended it in June. But he kept messaging. And I didn't block him. So it never really ended. She didn't answer. I exhaled slowly. Did you love him? No, she said immediately. God, no. I barely even liked him outside that bubble of the conference. He was just convenient. I wasn't thinking about consequences. I wasn't thinking about you. I wasn't thinking at all. Convenient, the word stung worse than anything else. I wasn't replaced by someone amazing or impressive or life-changing. I was replaced by convenience. We sat in silence for several long minutes. Finally, Emma whispered, "What do you want me to do?" I don't know. Do you want me to leave? I don't know. Do you want space? I don't know, Emma. I can't think. She nodded, tears running freely. I'll go upstairs. If you want me to leave tomorrow, I will. She stood up slowly, like she wasn't sure her legs would hold her. At the stairs, she paused. I never stopped loving you, Ryan. Even when I was being stupid and reckless. I love you more than anything. I didn't respond. She went upstairs, and the house grew quiet again. I didn't sleep. The next morning, Emma left for work without saying much. Just a soft "I'll give you space" before slipping out the door. I sat at the kitchen table with untouched coffee, staring out the window at the neighbor's dog chasing leaves. At around 10 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. You found out, didn't you? My stomach dropped. I typed back, "Who is this?" Reply almost instantly, "Mark." I clenched my jaw. Another message followed. It was only a matter of time before she cracked. She's terrible at hiding things. I didn't respond. A third message, "If you want the truth, the real truth, I can give it to you." I stared at that line for a long time. I didn't want it. I didn't want anything from him. I didn't want to open this door, but my thumb moved anyway. What truth? He sent a long text, nearly a wall of it. He claimed Emma initiated everything. He said she told him I didn't understand her emotionally. He said she talked about leaving me. He said she wanted something exciting. At first, I dismissed it as manipulative garbage, but then, buried halfway down the message, was something I couldn't ignore. She told me about your mom. About the hospital. She said you used her stress as an excuse to be absent. My hands froze. She told him about my mother's cancer diagnosis. One of the hardest things I had ever faced was something Emma and I shared with very few people. It was intimate, painful, and personal, and she had discussed it with him, with the man she was cheating with. Something inside me snapped, not loud or dramatic, but a quiet, irreversible tear. I texted back, "Don't message me again." He replied with a single thumbs-up emoji, which somehow made everything worse. Emma came home around 6. She looked exhausted, like she'd spent all day crying in bathroom stalls. "Did you work?" She asked gently. "No. Did you eat?" "No, Ryan." She stepped closer. "Please talk to me. Did you tell him about my mom?" Her face went pale. I didn't mean to. It just came up. It just came up. I repeated, my voice low. My mom's cancer came up during your affair? She put a hand over her mouth, shaking her head. No, that's not. I didn't say it like that. He asked why you were so stressed and distant, and you decided the best course of action was to spill my family's trauma to your affair partner? I'm so sorry, she whispered. You should be. She burst into tears, but this time I felt nothing. No sympathy. No urge to comfort her. Just a cold, heavy finality settling inside me. She reached for my arm. "Ryan, please. Please don't shut me out." I stepped back. "You already shut yourself out." She collapsed into a chair, sobbing freely. "I'll do anything," she said. "Therapy, counseling, quitting my job, moving away, anything you want. Just don't give up on us." I rubbed my eyes. "I need time." "How much?" "I don't know." She swallowed, nodding. "Okay. I'll give you whatever you need." But the strange thing was, in that moment, I realized something. Time wasn't going to fix this. Not because I didn't love her, but because something she broke could never be unbroken. Not trust, not even love. But the version of myself I had been with her, and that was the part one couldn't forgive. The next week was a blur. We slept in separate rooms. We barely spoke. She hovered around me like a ghost, always trying not to be in my way but always hoping I'd look at her. I grew quieter. More distant. More hollow. Friends noticed. Coworkers noticed. And Emma noticed most of all. On Friday night, she knocked on my door. "Can I come in?" She asked softly. "Yeah." She stepped inside, holding something in her hands, a notebook. The one I had bought her last Christmas, the one with the floral cover and gold-trimmed pages. "I wrote something," she said nervously. "A letter." I thought. "Maybe it would help you understand how sorry I am." I took it from her but didn't open it. "Ryan," she whispered, voice trembling, "I'm losing you every day, and I don't know how to stop it." I met her eyes for the first time in days. "You lost me months ago," I said. "You just didn't know it yet." Her legs buckled, and she sat on the floor, sobbing into her hands. I didn't move to help her. I couldn't, because she didn't cheat on the version of me sitting in that room. She cheated on the man who loved her more than anyone else ever would. And that man was gone. But the story wasn't over yet. The final unraveling was still to come, and it would be worse. Much, much worse. The night Emma gave me the notebook, I didn't open it. I placed it on the dresser and stared at it as if it were a ticking bomb. Something inside me twisted every time I looked at it. Not curiosity, not anticipation, but dread. Dread of what I might read. Dread of confirming what I already suspected, that Emma's remorse wasn't about losing me. It was about losing the version of herself she wanted to believe she was. Guilt does strange things to people. It can make them cling. It can make them confess. But sometimes, it can make them rewrite the past. Over the next few days, Emma tried harder. She cooked meals I barely touched. She left notes on the counter. Apologies. Reminders that she loved me, tiny pleas hidden in the margins. She hovered but didn't push. She cried only when she thought I couldn't hear her. But I heard everything. Grief echoes in a house like ours. And then on Wednesday evening, something happened that changed the trajectory of everything. She knocked on the doorframe of the guest room. "My room now. Can we talk?" She whispered. Her voice was so small it almost didn't sound like hers. I nodded. She stepped inside and closed the door behind her. "I've been thinking a lot," she said, taking a shaky breath. "About you. About us. About what I did. And I realized that I can't keep you in this limbo. It's cruel." I didn't say anything. She continued, "I talked to my manager today. I'm taking a leave of absence. Maybe a long one." "Why?" "Because the person I was at that job. The person I let myself become. I hate her. I want to change. I want to be someone who deserves the kind of love you gave me." I sighed, rubbing my face. "Emma. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You need to own what you did. I am owning it. Her eyes filled again, but she blinked the tears back. But owning it doesn't erase the fact that I broke something in you. I can feel it. Even when you're silent. Even when you're polite. You're gone, Ryan. A part of you is gone. The quiet between us stretched like glass, fragile, thin, one wrong movement from breaking. I still want to try, she whispered. I still want you. Even if you're not sure. Even if you need time. Even if you never look at me the same way again. Why? Her answer came instantly. Because you're the only person I've ever loved who made me feel safe. And I destroyed the safest thing I ever had. She stepped closer. I can't go back in time and undo what I did. But I can fight for whatever is left of us. I looked away. What if there's nothing left to fight for? Then at least I'll know I tried. She sat down across from me, legs crossed, hands folded like she was preparing for the final exam of her life. Can I tell you something? She asked quietly. Sure. I've been afraid to say it because it makes me sound worse. But I think you deserve the truth more than I deserve to hide from it. I braced myself. You weren't just emotionally distant before I cheated. You were hurting. Your mom was sick. You were running on empty. And instead of supporting you, I took it personally. I internalized your exhaustion as rejection. I convinced myself you didn't want me. She swallowed hard. It wasn't your job to reassure me every second. It was my job to be your partner. And I failed. Not just when I cheated, long before that. A tear rolled down her cheek. I cheated because I was insecure. And I told myself lies about your feelings to justify doing something unforgivable. I let her words hang between us. They were painful, but they were honest, not excuses, actual accountability, the kind of honesty I'd been waiting for, but it didn't fix anything. I heard her out, but something inside me was still unmoved. Like the breaking had gone too deep for repairs. The real collapse happened 2 days later, Friday evening, 8:17 p.m. I know the time because everything about that moment carved itself into my memory. I was sitting on the couch, finally reading the letter she wrote in the notebook. Her handwriting trembled across the page, ink smudged in places where tears had fallen. It was honest, messy, and emotional. She didn't defend herself. She didn't justify. She didn't beg, she grieved the relationship we had, grieved the person she was before she made the choice that fractured everything. At the end, she wrote, If you leave me, I will understand. If you stay, I will rebuild myself from the ground up to be worthy of you. But the truth you deserve is this: I will never forgive myself, not because you won't, but because I can't. I was still staring at those lines when the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, a woman stood there, early 30s, athletic build, sharp eyes. Are you Ryan? Yes. She took a breath. I'm Mark's girlfriend. My bloodstream turned to ice. I need to talk to you, she said. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. She crossed her arms. I'm going to be direct. I found messages. Old ones. Months old. From your partner. Emma, I said numbly. Yeah. Turns out Mark wasn't just cheating on me with randoms, he was full-on screwing someone in a relationship too. Her voice held fury, but a tired kind, worn down by shock. I just wanted you to know, she continued. Because the messages. They weren't one-sided. They weren't him chasing her. They were mutual. There were things she said about you that, she stopped, biting her lip. Look, I won't repeat all of it. It's cruel. But one thing stood out. She pulled out her phone, opened a screenshot, and handed it to me. It was Emma's message. He's a good guy. Too good. I don't feel the spark anymore. I feel like I'm living with a roommate. I felt something crack in my chest, a soundless shattering, not anger, not shock, just the quiet death of whatever hope was left. I'm sorry, Mark's girlfriend said softly. You deserve to know. I would want someone to tell me. I nodded, numb. She gave me a sympathetic look before turning and walking away. I stood there for a long time, phone in hand, staring at Emma's words until they blurred. A roommate, a roommate. That line burrowed into me like a worm, not because it was cruel, though it was. Not because it was unfair, though it was, but because she never told me. She told him. She told the man she cheated with. She told her affair partner the truth she hid from me. That was the final break. Not the cheating, not the lies, not the secrecy, but the trust she gave him that she never gave me. When I walked back inside, Emma looked up from the kitchen where she'd been wiping the counter repeatedly, like she needed something to do with her hands. What did the doorbell? She froze when she saw my face. What happened? I held up the phone, her eyes widened. Ryan, please, no. I cut her off, voice hollow. No more explanations. No more apologies. No more rewriting. Tears spilled instantly. Ryan, I was confused. You told him things you never told me. I didn't mean, you talked to him about our relationship. You talked to him about how you felt about me. You talked to him instead of talking to me. It was a weakness, she whispered. A horrible mistake. No. Cheating was the mistake. I stepped back. This was a choice. She broke. She collapsed to her knees on the kitchen floor, sobbing into her hands, shoulders shaking violently. Please, she choked out. Please don't leave me. I'm begging you. I will do anything. I will spend the rest of my life making this right. Ryan, please. I knelt down too, but not to hold her. I placed the notebook on the floor between us. You don't need to rebuild yourself for me. She shook her head fiercely. I want to. I want to be better. No, I whispered, voice trembling. You need to rebuild yourself for you. But I can't be here while you do it. Her sobs went silent, her mouth still open. Tears flowing, but no sound coming out. That message, I said softly. You said you didn't feel the spark. That I felt like a roommate. I didn't mean it, she gasped. You meant it enough to send it to him. I stood up slowly, and she understood. She understood before I even said it. Ryan, she whispered, shaking uncontrollably, please don't go. But the truth was, I had already gone. The moment I saw those words, something inside me, the last fragile piece that still hoped, finally snapped loose and drifted away. I'll always care about you, I said quietly. But I can't love you from this place. She reached for me, but I stepped back, and her hand closed on air. I left the next morning. She begged, she pleaded, she held onto my coat as I walked to the door. I can be better, she whispered desperately. I can love you the way you deserve. Please. Please give me one more chance. I looked at her, really looked. She was broken. But so was I. I don't hate you, I said. Her face crumpled. But I can't stay with someone who gave the most honest parts of me to someone else. and the most honest parts of herself to him. She let go, her hands fell to her sides. Her eyes went dark in a way that I knew would haunt me, and I walked out. It's been 4 months. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. It's quiet, sometimes too quiet. Emma wrote me a letter a few weeks after I left. I didn't respond. She sent another one. I didn't open it. I know she's trying to rebuild herself, trying to redeem herself. But redemption isn't a doorway someone else can hold open for you. You walk through it alone. As for me, I'm healing too, slowly, awkwardly, clumsily. Some nights I miss her. Some memories hit me out of nowhere and knock the air out of my lungs. But then I remember the message, the truth she gave him and hid from me. And I know, no matter how much love existed once, we lived in 2 different versions of the same relationship. She loved the version of me in her imagination, and she betrayed the version of her I thought was real. Some endings aren't explosions. They're quiet, irreversible fractures. And this was mine.